So just a few things. You're going to hear from a number of other experts today, so I don't want to talk too much more. I guess I'll just set them up a little bit more. Because the Farm Bill does so much, like Lauren mentioned, there are 15 titles, billions of dollars, and works in so many, or influences so many different aspects of our food system. The Farm Bill certainly affects the work that FSEP does, and it affects the sort of broader work of building stronger, better, healthier, more sustainable, more resilient food systems locally and regionally here, and of course, local and regional food systems everywhere. So I just want to mention a couple briefly and kind of connect them to our local economy. And I think you'll hear more details as the evening progresses. So one is food assistance. As you may know, 2/3 of the money of the Farm Bill goes to food assistance programs, not subsidies. 2/3 of it goes to food assistance programs, this SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, right? And why is SNAP important? Obviously, it's important because it helps people who have fewer resources and lower incomes access food, which is necessary every day, right? But it's important to our local economy as well because they're spending federal dollars, tax dollars, our dollars, buying food. And the more we can make fresh, local food that's produced by local growers and local farmers or processed by local businesses, the more of that money stays and continues to circulate and build our local economies. So the food assistance program is not only important for meeting food needs, which is its most important purpose, but also it can help, if we provide the opportunity, it can actually help to strengthen and contribute to our local and regional economies. The specialty crop provisions, which is a small, relatively, a very small line item of the Farm Bill, but I think it's important to mention. Does anyone know what specialty crops are?
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables, food. Specialty crops is food, the stuff that we eat every day. Is a small item called specialty crops. And specialty crops are extremely important to Michigan, to the Michigan economy, to Michigan farmers. We have a lot of specialty crop producers, that is all of our fruit and vegetable growers across the state. So programs that help support specialty crops, getting them to market, providing sort of new resources for farmers so that they can better, for instance, package their food to sell to a hospital is very important. Beginning farmer and rancher programs, I think you're going to hear from Jeremy about that next. We have an aging population of farmers, and we need to bring more people into the work. And so it's very important to support, for our local and regional economies, to support opportunities to bring new people into farming. And finally, the community food projects sort of line item is, again, a tiny little line item of the Farm Bill, which of course will be threatened to be cut along with a lot of other things in this next, in 2012 or whenever it comes up. And the Community Food Projects Program supports small-scale, locally based community food projects. So a lot of community gardens, a lot of school garden programs across the country, and all kinds of smaller community-based efforts have been started with funding from that program, and many of them have grown into really influential programs that have had a lot of impact on community access and community knowledge about food. So those are just a couple of examples of the many dozens, hundreds of programs that are included in the Farm Bill, many of which, of course, are threatened in terms of funding. And I'm going to stop there and hand it over to Jeremy.
Hi, everyone. As Deirdre said, my name is Jeremy Mogtater, and I'm the director of the Organic Farmer Training Program at Michigan State University, and I'm also the farm manager of the Student Organic Farm there. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do in terms of training new farmer education to give you a little brief context for the larger ripple effects of why it's necessary. But before I do that, I just wanted to say and reiterate how important it is and how thankful I am that you all are here and interested in this topic. The way that we choose to grow food and the way that we choose to eat food and the way that we chose to support our families and people in need and the way that we choose to meet the economic needs of our communities, they're all choices. And they're all choices that are a result of a process of engaged citizenry. And so it's really important for us to engage in this democratic process to help shape the way that we choose to do these things. Because the way the Farm Bill is, the way the SNAP Ed program is, the way the specialty crop block grant is, all those things are just choices. They're not just things that we have to accept, that just exist as the way that the sun exists. They're things that are a result of human construct. So we should, as humans, engage in the process of constructing those things to serve the needs of us, the citizenry. So with that little background kind of citizenship plug, I'll say that what we do in the Organic Farmer Training Program at Michigan State is each year we're able to train 15 or 16 new farmers in order to meet the growing need for local food products here in our region. And so that's kind of my background, but I'll tell you a little bit about how and why I think some of those things are so important, and why beginning farmer rancher programs and addressing the needs of new farmers are so important. Deirdre already mentioned that the aging population of farmers. The USDA's website says that half of our farmers will retire within the next decade. In addition to that, if we want to have a burgeoning local food economy that has adequate supply of local products for local consumption, we're going to need more growers. In the state of Michigan currently, the demand for local product is outstripping the supply. The Student Organic Farm has often had a wait list for we run a year-round CSA, Community Supported Agriculture Program, one of the only ones in the Midwest, and we have a wait list that's often 200 people long. And that just shows that there's a burgeoning demand, and that doesn't count institutional demand or other larger scale demand. That's just consumers wanting access to that product. And so if we're going to grow enough food to meet the needs of the local, regional, and food economy hopes and dreams that many people in our community have, and capture those economic benefits, we're going to need some more growers to do that. In addition to that, I like to throw out this little kind of analogy, which is that I think that most people have come to recognize over the last 100 years that it's really a good thing that the sons and daughters of farmers can choose to be doctors and lawyers and janitors and carpenters and whatever they want to be, right? The opposite of that is some kind of indentured servitude that, says that your place in life is determined by that of your parents' occupation. So while it's good that those people have that choice, we need to also then live in a society where the sons and daughters of doctors and lawyers and carpenters and plumbers can choose to be farmers. And right now, we're at a transition, at a crossroads, where historically, how you learn to be a farmer has been passed along intergenerationally within families. And we're at a point where that mechanism no longer is taking place. FFA, Future Farmers of America, doesn't stand for Future Farmers of America anymore. It's just FFA. And so because of things like that, I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying it is. And so because of things like that, we need to have and develop, and we are having and are developing new mechanisms for the way that people can become producers of food if they didn't grow up producing food. So that if a student decides that they could go to their guidance counselor and say, I'd be interested in being a farmer, how does that work? How does that happen? What are the avenues or the mechanisms that would allow me to do that? And I think that that's going to be a necessary thing going forward. And the Farm Bill isn't the answer to that question, but certainly there are many Farm Bill programs that have in the past and can in the future continue to support the transition to having the opportunity for new and beginning growers to make up a sizable component of our food producing community. So I'm going to give a little bit of background on what some of those grants have been that have been successful in helping us in the state of Michigan have the only organic farmer training program that's this 9-month intensive training program where we're training people in year-round production of local food. And that program was originally able to be developed at Michigan State through a larger grant that we got as part of the Organic Agriculture Research and Education program that's within the USDA. That funded both the creation of our curriculum. So this is in 2006. We recognized this need. We applied for a grant from the USDA, and through that grant line, we were able to get some money to help develop the curriculum to start the Organic Farmer Training Program. That was also hand in hand with money that went around organic soils, research and education, and organic tomato and cucumber production in Southeast Michigan, or Southwest Michigan, particularly looking at, kind of specialty crop production. So all the stuff that we do at the student farm is generally speaking specialty crop production, so flowers, herbs, fruits and vegetables, but we do some livestock stuff as well. So that's a grant that has impacted us positively in the state, that is funded through this funding line, and was really useful and instrumental in our ability at Michigan State to create this organic farmer training program. I just came back from a conference in Kentucky of the Sustainable Ag Education Association, and we are for sure one of the shining models of organic farmer training in the country. People ask, how do I get to know more about your program? And it's not like because I'm not trying to, I am tuning our own horn, but I'm not tuning my horn. I'm saying that we're just the right circumstances and the right people and the right things came together at the right time to allow us to develop that. And I think that it's really fortunate that that grant funding came through in 2006 when it did, to help catalyze that change. Related to that, one of the efforts that we've been working on here locally is partnering. The Student Organic Farm has been partnering with the Food System Economic Partnership, along with some other local collaborators to create the Tillian Farm Development Center, which is going to be an incubator farm and residency farm aimed at trying to help transition people who are graduates from my program or other similarly qualified folks to implement their farm plans. Because not only do you need access to training, you need access to capital, you need access to markets, you need access to land and equipment, both of which are really difficult. So if, as you're starting up your new farm business, you can have access to those things through the use of an incubator farm, it can allow you to build the necessary capital inside your startup business to then move off onto other lands that might be preserved through the Ann Arbor Greenbelt or through the Ann Arbor Township's Small Farms Initiative or things of that nature. And I think Steve Olds, who's going to talk later, will talk more about the specifics of those kinds of programs that are at work in our community. So that project, the Tillian Farm Development Center, has been either the direct beneficiary of or an applicant for several different grants from the USDA that we may not have received all of them, but the process of applying for them in and of itself was catalytic in terms of moving ideas forward. And in addition to that, we're hopeful that some of them are still in the hopper. We're hopeful that we might get them, and some of them we might be lucky enough to get in the future. So those ones are the Beginning Farmer Rancher Grant. So there's actually a whole line. That's one of the ones that isn't funded currently in 2012, but has been giving funds to programs around the country, including one in northern Michigan, to help beginning and new farmers access some of those needs that I said. And they're a very diverse set of programs, but it's amazing that it's in the bill. It helps identify the need to help beginning and new farmers get started. And that funding is at risk immediately, and in addition in the future iterations of the Farm Bill. And so it's important to support that work. In addition to that, there's other funding lines. The Rural Business Opportunity RBOG grant is one that has been applied for to help supply infrastructure and needed equipment at the Tillian Farm Development Center. And there's some infrastructure and processes that have been going on there to initiate that were the initial capital that kind of helped get the project rolling, that are also part of a Conservation Innovation Grant, also through NRCS. So there's been a bunch of different grants that have been part of the USDA and part of the Farm Bill that have helped in their own different ways catalyze some of this development that's helping Southeast Michigan move forward with getting new farmers growing food on the land, and those businesses producing food that can be used by other processors, by retailers, consumed in farmers markets, purchased with SNAP dollars. So there's a variety of all those impacts that are really important. I think that the only other thing that I'll add is, wearing kind of the organic hat, because the training that we do is in organic and ecological agriculture. There are also separate set-asides for the cost share that are part of the Farm Bill for certification for organic farmers. So when a lot of growers talk about, well, how do I pay for my certification costs? The USDA has been providing a cost share that helps farmers so that doesn't become an impediment to their ability to grow and sell certified organic food. And then inside of a bunch of the NRCS programs that Steve was going to talk about, there are set-asides in those programs specifically targeting new and beginning farmers, because the USDA has traditionally recognized that is an audience that requires special consideration, as well as within some of the funding for the Farm Service Agency. So there are some programs out there that are really useful for beginning farmers and have been useful in our community and can continue to be useful in helping us achieve this vision of an integrated local food system. And so I just hope that that's useful context and information, and maybe hopefully compelling in terms of your interest in seeing some of those programs continue and to see the continued development of new farmers. And we have at the FSEP, or at the Local Food Summit last year, they highlighted, I don't know, probably 10 new growers in our community that have been, growing food, and in some ways have been beneficiaries of a lot of this knowledge and information that's being generated. Whether it's hoop house production and the research and stuff that's gone on with that at the student farm, or business counseling and innovation through other work that's happened, there's been a lot of support that's been helpful in creating opportunities for these new farmers. So that's what I got. Thank you.